Good morning, everyone. So let's continue chapter 15 for layout. So in fact, this chapter is a little bit more important than other chapter. The reason is that this is just to style the whole template, the website. So it will be useful for all the website. So it's like an overall design and overall style of how you arrange the elements on the page. So just like a template, for example, how you divide the whole page into different regions and like a pattern. So each pattern will show in a consistent way across the websites, different pages. So this is the reason why it's more important than other chapter, because it's a general introduction. And in this chapter, we'll cover three things. The first one is that how can you use different methods to arrange the elements of the for the HTML page. And then we adopt three methods. For example, based on the normal default one, just based on a flow, it will just line by line, paragraph by paragraph. And also you can arrange elements based on a relative position. So relative, okay. And the third one is absolute. So that means you will just use the absolute position to define the location of an element. And the second question is that we will deal with how to design web pages, website for different screens. So people use different devices which have different sizes of screens. So how can we make sure our website can show in a good looking way, consistent way across different screens? So that will be the second question. And the third one you may ask, okay, every time we design and then from scratch for the template? No. So in fact, just like we have a design patterns, we have some classes, we have some libraries, we can reuse them. So people also design different templates or different layout templates. So in fact, you can use those templates we call grids. Okay, we introduce some example grids as well. That means it's a very popular one. And then for those template, people already designed all the required styles for each element, how to arrange the whole page, divide them into grids, and also how to arrange how to style different elements, images, and paragraph and so on, like this. So that means in this chapter, in the book you can find it covers 50 pages, so it's a relatively long chapter. We try to finish this one chapter within one class. That means within the Tuesday class. Okay, let's start. So let's look at the key concepts in positioning elements. So basically, we said we want to arrange the elements. So for example, this element put here, that element put that location. We design like that. So we need to understand different types of elements first. So we have two types of elements we have learned before. The first one is block level, okay? The second one is inline level. So block level elements, every time we start a new line, and then they will do it from top to bottom. That means along the vertical way, they arrange the elements, so one after another. So that means they will do like this. Okay? Every time if you have a block level element, we start a new line and then next to the previous one in the vertical way. So this is how we handle block level elements. So we have these basic concepts. Then we know, okay, we want to arrange this one here, or we want to arrange one here, or we want to arrange this one shift to the right. Correct. This is basic concept, you know in default how the block left elements will perform. And we also need to know in default there's a gap in between. So that means they will not touch each other. Otherwise, we cannot differentiate different elements. We said each element we have a box to contain it. Okay? So this is the first inline. So inline elements will not start a new line. They will continue. Just like this one, for example, image. So for here, they will continue to show the image, and after that continue to show the text. You can do different alignment, align to the bottom, or align to the top, or align to the middle, but they will not start a new line because they are inline elements, like the bolt, image, okay, and the italic, like these things, I, B, and the IMG, like these ones. Okay, so here you can find we draw a big box because this is like the containing element. For example, if your HTML, this is the body, so that's the containing elements to contain the paragraph, image, and another paragraph. And this one is similar. Body contains a title and then two paragraphs, and this is ordered and is an ordered list. So, but yeah, basically we have these different levels. So next one we'll talk about different concepts about containing elements, or called parent element. Okay, like this one. The overall, you know, we have a big box, the white one, that's the body. Okay, and then in the body we want to arrange different parts in different modules. Usually we use a very important tag we have learned before, okay? Use div to organize. Okay, div to organize the elements. Okay, so for this, so start, the opening and ending, okay? Opening and ending. So basically for here you can find for the, this is for the, we call this one is the header. Okay? The header has for example this one we have first one have a heading one level headings, and then we have navigators here, but we put them together, we contain them together in this containing element via the div. And the next one, for this main contents, we also contain them together into another containing element, which is another division. Okay? So now you understand. Okay? So we have the division concept, and then later we just use this idea to arrange elements because we want to group them together. Okay, this the first division, we want to then occupy how many columns. So later we talk about, we use grids. So how many grids? Want to put them into center, or we want to use 3 grids, or want to use 4, or we want to use all the grids available. Okay, so division is the main tool we will use to do the layout. Okay, so to organize different elements together, and then we are able to handle their locations. Okay, and the next one, the footer, also has a containing element. Okay, so that means containing element or parent element, both, all of them are the division. Okay, div here. Okay, so this is the basic idea. Just we group a number of elements together into a parent or containing elements, and then this will help us do the styling. Okay, do the layout design. Okay, this is for the first important set of concepts, and then we'll continue for the next one, which will deal with different layouts. Okay, we separate them into another video. Okay, next one we talk about the different layouts for the elements. So we have three possibilities. The first one is called the normal flow. So this is the default way to arrange elements. That means if it's block level, they will do it in vertical way, and one after another, as we mentioned before, right? So they will arrange like this way. Okay, if it's in line, of course, they will continue inside of the line, so in the line. If it's a block level, they will just first finish one and then next leaving some gap and then continue with the next one. So that's called the normal flow. That means you don't need to do anything, it will do like this way. Okay, the gap in between will be the default settings in your browser. Okay, and then next one we talk about the relative positioning. So this is normal, but this is relative. Okay, you can find that from the previous one to this one, we shift to the right and also down, okay, to the bottom. Shift to the right and then shift to the bottom. That means this one starts from some new locations. Okay, we move to left and move to the bottom. So in fact, we can set this relative position for this paragraph, because we can put this one into a class attribute element, or we can use a division, and then we can style this separately. So that's how we do the styling, right? We can use relative positioning. Later we'll teach you how to do that, but you know, okay, we can do such arrangements. Okay, so the absolute, the normal one, default one, and the relative positioning. Okay, and then the last one is called absolute positioning. Okay, so for the absolute positioning, that means you will set the location relatively to the containing element. So that means, for example, you want to put this one to 80% or 90% or 60% to the width, and the height from the 0 maybe. So that's how you will define this element. And this one, if for example, because it's designed, the location is defined according to the relative the containing elements. That means based on this one. So if you scroll down the page, okay, scroll down the page, and then this is also we're going up. Okay, they will move accordingly. But you may have a concern. For example, when I do this one, I put this one in this location, but I want to show them on that location always. So then you need to define whether you want to use a fixed or use a floating. If floating, then you can just change it. If fixed, so then you can just doing like for example, will not change. So that means we'll always show there. Float will just move together with other contents. You can also find for the absolute position, this one you have moved this formatting out of the normal settings, so the normal ones are not affected by this one. So it's like this is not appear, does not appear that one, even it's overlapped. So also you need to know, for example, later we'll have a mechanism to set if they have the overlap, which one will be seen. So in fact we can control this one as well. Okay, for the absolute positioning, we will talk about two subtypes, whether you want to use a fixed positioning or use a floating elements. So for the fixed positioning, you can, for example, I mentioned that you want to design according to the containing elements. So for example, you want to put based on percentages. Okay, so but this one, because it's a fixed fixed in that location. And then if you scroll up and scroll down, this one will not change because you will just range this one in this window, so they will not move. So you scroll down, scroll up, always they will be there. So that's why we is fixed. So in fact, we also can set that property to be fixed, but this one is floating. Is another way. You want to move it. Okay, for example, like this one. The first thing that you can find is floating is like this one. You first show this paragraph, and after that other surrounding text will float around. Correct? Will float to that available space, and then will continue. And then this one, if you scroll up and scroll down, this will move as well because it's floating. They will just not defined based on the containing. So it's floated together with its surrounding elements. Okay, so then it will be disappear if you scroll down a little bit or scroll up. So this will just move together with others. And also we mentioned if there's some overlap, you want to show which one, and then this one will be using a z index. Later we'll talk about the z index. Okay, so that means you also can handle which one will be seen. Okay, which one will be seen. So this several slides just like a general introduction about the layout. This chapter, of course, is but the first topic. That means how can we arrange the location of elements in HTML. And then we first know we have block level, we have inline level elements, and also know there are mechanism for the appearance. And then block level will every time we start a new line, and the inline level will not do like that. Inline element will just continue. And then we also want to style or put we do the layout design for some elements together. So we use containing elements. Sometimes it's body, but sometimes it's lower level. So we use division. Correct? And then we said we have three types: absolute, relative, and normal. Correct? Normal, relative, and absolute. Okay, three types of designs. And then for the absolute one, we also can control. So they are whether we want to move together with the surrounding elements or not. So we have fixed or floating one. Okay, this is the basic sketch. Okay, basic sketch ideas about the layout, and then we'll talk about how to implement this design. Okay, these concepts. So let's continue with the implementation. That means basically the set of properties, okay, and the values. So the first one is about the normal flow. So for this one, if you don't do anything, it will use this normal flow. If you want to set it in an explicit way, then you need to use the position property and then static value. For example, this one we don't do anything, right? The heading, and the paragraph. So we don't have the position, but it will the wise font color, background color for heading, padding, and then paragraph. So we don't set it, then it will show in this way. So that means that's the normal. But if you add that static position static, it will be the same. Okay, so for here, like this way. The reason is that you can find here for paragraph we restrict width to be 450 pixels. So that's why you can find that it will not occupy the whole width of the body, the window. But for the heading, it occupies and based on the background color you can find out that it occupies the whole. Okay, see the demo. So that's here, the demo is this one. And then you can also find out, because this one we have fixed width, so if you scroll, you squeeze, it will not squeeze squeeze after 450 pixels, so it must have this 450 pixels for the paragraph. And similarly, you can find here it will fixed to 450. And then for the body we use this width, that means in total we have 750, so that's here, from here to here. So we didn't utilize all the available space for the browser window, so we only use for 750 because you don't want to this occupy the whole. Right? You have very large screen, you have very large heading, and then but the paragraph is very short in the width, so that's not good. And we also have the font, so that means default we use the Arial font. Is sans is one of the sans serif. Okay, serif, the sans serif, that means without any details, right? In the ending parts. Color, so for the font color in default we use this one, that's the color here and here as well, right? And then background color we change it to different one. In default is a white color, and padding is the 10 pixel in both sides, in all the sides, so top, right, bottom, left will allow 10 pixels. Okay, and then paragraph we said, for example, if we changed this one, we change it to the position to be static. Let's run it again. So in fact it's the same, right? No change. So that's the default. Okay, that's the default. Okay, this is for this one is simple. So basically we have 3 paragraphs, and later we use this example, this contents for many examples. Okay, 3 paragraphs, 1 headings. So the evolution of bicycle, and then 3 paragraphs. Okay, so okay, this one we don't do anything special for paragraphs. So all the paragraphs we use the same layout, width, position in default way. Okay. So next one is relative positioning. So that means we still use the same property position, but we give it to be a new value. So will be relative. So we use relative positioning. Of course, based on this one only, cannot finish the task because we need to give the offset as well. So like this example. So for example, for the paragraph example class attribute, that means for this example paragraph, and then we put its position layout using the relative scheme, relative arrangement. And then the offset for here is top 10 pixels, left 100 pixels. So that means this is the deviation or the offset starting from the normal. For example, you have paragraph show here. So next paragraph it must use a normal flow. It will be like this way. But we want to do some relative positioning. So that means from here to here we allow 10 pixels from the top, and then left we starting from here. So that means the window will be drawn in the box will be drawn in this location. That means shift to the right 100 pixels, and then shift down 10 pixels, because this is like opposite, correct? That means where is the new location of the left top corner, top left corner. So to the top is 10 pixels, to the left is 100 pixels. Okay, this is 100, this is 10. Okay, so that's the idea. That means based on the relative plus the offset, two parts, and then we can define a relative positioned element for the layout. So highlight this one, position, we use relative property value, and then for the offset we use this one. Of course this is not only one, because if you know we have top, then we have down, and then we have left, then we have right, correct? So that means we have 4 properties to set the offset. Okay, later we'll try different properties to see the effect. Okay, this is the result for that one. So this is the this is the example paragraph, the new location example. So we set a class attribute for this paragraph to be example, and then we shift 10 to the top, 100 to the left. So that's the result. Okay, compare this one to the previous one, so you know the difference. Cut to the right 100, down 10. Okay, let's look at the example. So this is the still the same contents, but we attach a class attribute to second paragraph, which is here in default. Okay, this is the default one, the static, the normal flow. And then here we want to style this one in different way. We want to have a different layout design for it. So that's why you can find here position with relative top. Then we mentioned here. Okay, others are the same as the previous example for the normal one. Let's run this one. So you can find here now the paragraph, second paragraph has been shifted to the right by 100 pixels, shift down by 10 pixels. Okay. For example, you don't want to shift to the right, you want to shift to the left. Then you need to change this one to be right. Okay. And then you can see the result will be like this way. So that means you will not see clear, because you have do like this, cut to the right. So that means you will put the corner just to the 100 pixels. That means shift to the shift. So that means the center will draw in the left. That's out of the border. So that's why you will find this part will not be seen. Okay. That means this if it is set to right, that means shift to left, and then top 10, that means shift down. Okay. For example, if you use button, then you will see what will be the result. Okay. So button you can find here. So this is you can find that there is more gap in between. Okay. So shift button is like shift up. Okay. Shift, so button 10 pixels. So that means it's like we move it up. So the gap between this one and this one will become smaller. This one will become bigger. Correct? but you can find the gap in the normal flow is like this one. Is this one maybe is 20 pixels or something, and then this one is smaller. Let's look at compare this one. Now is narrow, cut narrow. Maybe this is 20 pixels, so you shift up 10 pixels, and then this one is still show in that location, so this pic will become 20 plus 10. In default is 20, and then you shift up 10, so this one will allow 10 more pixels. You have 30 pixels, so there's a wider gap in between. Okay, this is just to let you know we have a lot of methods to control the layout of the element of each element. Okay, this is for the second one, for the relative. Okay, let's look at the third method to do the layout. So we still use the position, but now we use the absolute value. This means we want to use the absolute positioning. As we mentioned before, for the absolute positioning, we define the location of the element according to the containing element. That means relative to the containing element. So for the H1, for the same example, for the previous one, you know the H1 is heading 1, the containing element will be the body, correct? Will be a body. And then now we want to use the absolute positioning. So this is the first one. We adopt this one. So use position absolute. So second part is the same as the previous. We use a offset. By this offset, we define the relative location according to the containing elements. This means the distance to the top, distance to the left. Okay, so it's a little bit different from previous one. Okay, that one is like shift. So this means we want to move the heading towards 500 pixels. Top, we don't do anything, right? So that means that we want to show here. And then the width will be, we also define the width is 250 pixels. So this one is 500, right? This distance is 5. Okay. So this is 250. So this is how we do the layout for the heading. So that means we put this heading in this location. We fixed to this part. Okay. And then the paragraph we defined into this one. So same like previous. Okay. No change. Okay, we need to use the absolute if we want to use absolute positioning, and then we need to define the offset, use top, left, or bottom, right, and then we can also define the width for that element. So this one is 250, paragraph is 450. Okay, so this is the effect of the result. You can find the absolute, so it's defined according to the containing element, the window. So it will move towards, move together with that window. Okay. So let's look at the example to see. So this example here. So the body is still the same, 1, and then we have 5 paragraphs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 paragraphs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, we have long paragraphs like previous one, but then more paragraphs. And then now we define the style. Body in default we use 750. Font we use Arial in default. Otherwise choose Vedana or any available sans serif available font. Color we use the font color. Use this one. Font color, front color, or foreground color. And then positioning for headings we use absolute. Initially we use this use the normal, but now we use absolute. And then top is 0, left is 500, width is 2050, this one is 2040, 50. So right, we see the difference. Okay. So now the heading move towards to here, and then so it's interesting. You can find here we define the width for the paragraph is 2050, and then to the left is left. That means this position, the box for the heading to the box of the left border of the containing element. That means the body is 500. So this one is more than this width. That's why you can find that we show here 500. Cut. So this is this one. And then the top is 0 pixels. That means we don't shift anything. Cut. We don't shift. That means the previous box will be still there. Though we show here, but in fact we will have some margin, have some paddings cut for the heading here. Okay, in default we have some padding. And then width is 250, so don't want to show this heading too long, so we fix the heading width is 250. Okay, and then you can see when I move the window, we scroll down, it will also scroll down, scroll up. Okay, even I scroll down the sidebar, the scroll bar, it will go up, because this one is defined relatively or fixed towards to its window containing element. That means that element. Okay, so when I moved, so like that page also will go, like you turn over a page. Okay, so this page already turned over. Okay, but sometimes maybe you ever seen some website they will always show this one. So later we talk about how to do that, how to achieve that one. But here it's just like doing this. We fixed the location of element by using absolute, and then we also can decide its location by assigning the offset values. Okay, properties. So this is for this one. Okay, and then next one we'll talk about another one, just fixed and float. So we'll choose different effect. You will know the difference. Okay, so this is for this example. So next one is the fixed positioning. So still the position property, but we'll use the fixed value. So this is one type of absolute positioning, but will be fixed. So that means fixed meaning we want to fix the appearance of that element. It will always shows in that location. So we never changed even you scroll up and down. Okay, this is the idea. So in fact for this one we use this positioning and then fixed this first one. Okay, so that's a must. Okay. So next one, similarly we do the offset. So that means, well, do you want to put that element? So top to top 0, to left 0. So in fact this is just reverted to the previous location, default one. So to the top 0, to the left 0, that means no change for the heading. And then we add a padding for 10 pixels for four directions. Okay? For bottom, left, right, bottom, top, bottom, left, and right. And then margin 0 pixels. So this is the distance between boxes. So that means headings and next paragraphs and so on. Width is 100%. So here we use the percentage, means it will occupy the whole space, available space for the body, for the containing element, which is the body. background color with this one is some gray color. And then P example paragraph is the first paragraph. Later we'll see. So the first paragraph, we put the margin top to 1 pixels. The idea is that we want to allow some distance between the heading and the paragraph. So we put this margin top to 100 pixels. Okay. Positioning, highlight this one. We use a fixed offset with this top left values. And then we add the margin top to differentiate the heading and the paragraph. So this is the result. Okay, you can find it here. We scroll down the scroll bar. The title will not be disappeared. Okay, the heading one will not be disappeared. Will still be there. Okay, let's look at example. So this is the example. So first one is the heading paragraph 1 with example attribute. So this is example paragraph. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we have 6 paragraphs. And then other than same default settings, fix the width for the body. So in total we only have at the most 750 pixels. Font with Arial, color with this one, and heading we use a fixed position. So we don't want to make this disappear when we scroll down, scroll up. And top left means we don't shift the heading. We just show the heading as a normal way, normal flow. Padding is 10 pixels, means 10 pixels in between. Okay. And then margin is 0. 0 means this box and the next box, their distance is the margin for this heading. That means this one we don't allow any margin in between this box and the other one. But you can do the margin here. Okay? That's why we set the margin for the first paragraph to be 100 pixels. So to the box of here, to the edge, so we have 100 pixels. And then for the width, occupy the whole width. Okay. And then background color is a gray color. Okay, this one you can find. Occupy the whole is 750 pixels. Let's do it. Should be this one. Okay, so let's look at the effect. We say it's fixed. So the most important is that when we scroll down, this title will not disappear. Okay, we scroll down. So now you see the effect. So the paragraph disappears behind the title, behind the heading, but the title will be always there. Okay. Okay, this is the example here. So that means we use the fixed layout. Okay, fixed layout. And then next one we want to talk about is that related to this one. Just like you have, you can find here there's an overlap. So you want to show the headings, not want to show the paragraph contents, but you need to set. If sometime maybe you want to show another element's content, then you need to have a method to do that. So next one is that for overlapping elements, how can you control the appearance? Which one will be seen? Okay. So anyway, till now we have talked about the most important 4. Of course, we haven't finished. We have another one, float, which is also more complicated, but more versatile, more important. But we have finished the normal and relative, absolute, and fixed. The most important 4 first. Okay. So let's look at the overlapping contents handlers. So for example, if we have overlapping elements, we need to use z index to deal with. That means which one will be show. It depends on the z index. So you can just think about the context, the content of the elements is stacked over one by one, and then z index is along the vertical way. So if the z index is higher, then that one will be the one to be seen, just layer by layer cut. So that means we want to bring this one to the top. We set it to be the highest. Okay, so that means if you want to show something, put that one to be a larger z index. That's the idea. For here, you can find here we have heading 1, where paragraph same contents. Okay, heading 1, we use fixed. Okay, we want to show that heading in that fixed location. To the top left is 0, 0. Okay, that means okay, that's default. Margin 0, padding 10 pixels, width 100%, background color, this one. Okay, z index. So this is the thing we have. So z index we set to be 10, and then for example, when we scroll down here. So the paragraph will overlapped with the heading, right? Because the heading will still appear that location on this left corner. So we don't want to show the paragraph's content. We want to show the heading content. So we set a larger value for it. So larger value means this one is as long as it's positive, then it's larger. Because in default, the z index is not set, is not used. Then it's auto. Auto means 0. So that means in default z index value is 0. And now we set it to be 10. Of course, the heading will be seen. Okay? And then for the P, for paragraph, so for here, in fact, we use the relative top 70 pixels and the left 70 pixels. So this is means we relatively position each paragraph, because now we don't specialize which example paragraph. All the paragraphs with the same relative layout. So that means to the top we allow 10 pixels, 70 pixels. To the left, so shift to right 70 pixels, shift down 70 pixels. So we allow some margins in between paragraphs and headings and between paragraphs. Okay, this is the idea. So let's look at the z index. Z index is the most important, and then showing the result. When we scroll down, we don't show the paragraph content, we show the heading contents, and then we allow some gap in between. Okay, see the real demo, real code. So let's look at this one. Heading, you can find now we don't set a class attribute to be example. So all the 6 paragraphs are the same, right? Just paragraphs. And then now we set in this. Okay, this is default. The width is fixed. Heading, so we set like this way. Okay, put the setting here. Okay, and then this is relative. Okay, let's write to make sure. So you can find here, now we paragraph, for this one we allow 70 pixels to the left and 70 pixels to the top. So we allow that margin. Okay, allow that margin. So just use the relative way, because this one relative means relative to towards the containing elements. So you start in default way and then move to the right, move down. That's the idea. So now you can see the effect when we scroll down the scroll bar. It will not overlap. Okay? It will not show the overlapped contents. If we don't have these contents, still remember for CSS we can come out some contents. So the commands in CSS is similar to the C++ with C. So we can use this way to come out this one. So now we come up with this one. That means all of the contents have the same z index value, which is default 0. Okay, if we do like this way, and then we see the result again. If we scroll down, we can see the overlapped. We show both. Okay, we show both because you didn't hide that one. You didn't bring the title to the front, to the top. So then it will not be clean. Okay, we showed both contents. So this is the idea. Okay. So that means you can use the z-index to control the appearance of elements, which one will be seen. Okay, this is the main idea you have learned here. Okay. So now we look at the fourth property. Okay, fourth type of layout, float. Okay, float. So in fact, this one float, just you can think about it as a shape in the river, and then it will flow in the river. If it can go to the right, then it will go to right. If it can to the left, it will go to the left. So that means we are just docked to that position. We will not move. Otherwise, we keep moving. So for here is the same. We can float and then to the right or float to the left as much as possible. As long as far as it possible means it hit something, cannot move further, then it will stop. If it's not, we'll keep moving. That's called a floating element. Okay, let's look at this example. For here, we use a block quote. So that means we want to show quoted contents in a block. So separated from other paragraphs, show different appearance. Kind of we set an enhancement. And then for this one, we define its layout. Use the float to the right. That means shift this quote, this block quote, to the right as much as possible, as far as possible. And the width is 275 pixels. Font size is 130% of default. If default is 16, and then you can multiply, then which font size you have. Font style is italic. We use italic font. Family with Georgia or any times serif, any other available serif. So that means have details kind of in the ends of the letters. Margin with 0, 0, 10, 10. That means top, right, bottom, and the left. Because we shift to the right, so we need to. So top and the right there's no need to keep the space, but we may want to keep some space here and here. Cut. So that's the bottom and the left. So that's the here. And then padding is 10 pixels. Beside this margin. Margin is the distance between the boxes. Okay? So we want to separate the block code from other paragraphs contents. Okay? We allow the margin here, but we also want to show the quoted contents not too close to its containing box. So we also add a padding inside, okay, inside of this. So 10 in each side. And then border top, we add a border on the top, we add a border to the bottom. So we add two border lines. So 1 pixel solid in this color. That's it. Okay? We use border. So we don't use border. We don't have border here. Don't have border here, but we have border here, border here. Okay. So this one is added towards the box. So we make the box bigger. And then we highlight this one, float. we use right, float to the right, and then it's wise. So why we want to define its wise? If we don't define the wise, and then it will be show as it will occupy the whole, right? The whole window, the whole body. So then you don't see the effect, because if, for example, that one will not be seen show completely in one line, you will keep doing. So it's like just showing the result as normal, right? So that's why we must give a wise to show the effect, right? So that one we want to put on the right corner. Okay, then this is the result. See the result here? And shift to the right, so that's float. Shift as much as possible. When it hit the right border line, that means you cannot float. And then we add two border lines on the top and the bottom, and we also allow 10 pixels cut in the margin, in the border, in the padding, cut for the padding. And then we also allow some margin in between the left and the bottom to separate the code, the block code from other contents, okay, surrounding contents. So this is the idea. Okay, see the code. See the code here. So let's look at. So basically, you have defined a heading, and then you have a block code. Okay, block code for here. And then you have a block code. You have three long paragraphs. And then in this one, you want to design the layout for the block code. For others, you just use normal, because once you fix the location for the block code, others they will just use normal flow. They will flow to the normal position. That means surrounded the surrounding the empty space will be kept for flowing the normal elements. That's the idea. So for this one, we flow to the right, wise, satisfy, and font, and the italic, font family, Georgia, margin cut. So we have learned this one before. So let's look at its effect, like this way. So this is 450, so that's 750. So the body is wise, and then the block code is 275. So this one will copy. So and then flow to the right, okay, and then allow some margins in between paragraphs and the code kind box. Okay, this is the next. So of course we haven't finished all the details about the float, but here is the most basic usage to use a float element. That means we can use float elements to arrange elements to float to the left or to float to the right as far as possible. Okay, and we also usually decide the width of the floated elements. The reason is want to achieve that floating effect, or achieve your pre-described the layout design, right? Okay, this is for this one. We have some other usage which will follow this slide. Okay, let's look at one application of the float tag, float element, to arrange elements side by side. Just consider, for example, you have a web page. It contains of a lot of boxes, and then we want to place them side by side. That means one after the other, next to boxes next to each other. Then this float property will be very useful. Just think about this simple example. For example, we still have the previous paragraphs, and then we want to show them in a side-by-side way. Okay, so the body will be defined like this, still the same, and then the paragraph we define like this way. We use the float to the left. That means we arrange the elements because you have paragraph, so each one will just float to the left as much as possible. Okay, so this is the idea. Okay, so that means the first one we want to show it as normal, and then we float to the left as much as possible. And then the width for each paragraph, we define its maximum width is 230 pixels, and the margins in between the boxes is 5 pixels. Padding inside of the box, the contents, and the border of the box is 5 pixels in all 4 directions. Background color with this color, gray color. Let's look at highlight this one with float elements property, and then we use define its width because we must do that, otherwise it's not easy to handle. Okay? So each one is like just like a box. We pile them, and then we define the body width is 750 pixels. So you just consider this one. What's the why we want to define like this way? 750 and 230 pixels. So if you find this one, the width is 230 pixels, margin is 5 pixels in both sides. Add this one is around 240, right? And then multiply by 3 pixels. 3, you got 720. And then you also add the padding on each side. So you have 3. So each one is 10. And then 30. So 720 plus 30, you got 750. Right? That means you occupy the whole space. Okay. So this is the idea. Okay, you can just do it for each box. The width is 230, and then for the margin, for the padding first on both sides, and then margin. So you have 250. Right? So that means 750 over 250, you can have 3. Right? So that means in a body you can allow 3 boxes to show. Okay, that is exactly 3. Okay, so this is the arrangement. You can find here we have 5 paragraphs, and then we arrange them side by side. So flow to the left. Okay, first show it in the normal, and then flow to left as much as possible. Because this one is occupied, it only can flow to here, and the next one flow to here. Let's look at this one. The first one seems not what we want to have. Okay? You define the width, but you didn't define the height. The height is depending on the length of the content in the paragraph. So this one you can find this paragraph is it is very short, and then in fact for this, after we show this 3, we have space here. Okay? We first show in line by line to here. So when we occupy this line, it is still available. Okay? This line is not available. This line not available. This line is this line is not available, is for empty space. But the next line, this one is not available because we can only continue to here. Okay, to see the next. We not start from the next line. So we found here we have available space. Then we keep showing the result till we finish. So that's why we have the layout like this way. It may not be the same as you have expected. So later we'll talk about one way to get rid of this one. If you want to show this one in a separate line, in new line, you will use a clear property. Okay. So later we'll talk about, but here just show this side by side. Okay. See the demo. So for here we have a heading. We have 6 paragraphs. Each one is the same. We don't define any special paragraphs. And then we have this overall definition. We fix the width of the body, the window, and then the font, the overall default settings for the paragraph font and the color for the paragraphs and the text. For each paragraph, we fix this one. Okay? Flow to the left, margin, padding. So we already teach you how to calculate how many paragraphs you can fit in one line. Okay? Background color to differentiate each paragraph. Run this one. You can find this is the effect 750 till here. Okay, side by side. Okay. So you also find here after you show here, so this one cannot be reused because you finished this line already. So that means we mentioned, okay, the first assume this one to be a normal and then flow to the left as much as possible. So that means normal, this is block level. So next one to show is must after this one vertically arrange the next block level element show here and then move to the left as much as possible. Okay, this one no problem. And the next one, this one is still available, so we can show here, so put to the left as much as possible, so it occupy this one rather than this one. Okay, this is for this example. In the next one we handle this issue. We don't want to have this messy one. We want to show this one into the next one, the next one. So three box here, 3 box here. Okay, how to handle that one we'll see in the next one. So in the previous example we already show we have this effect. So the third one, the fourth one, we want to move this one to the front rather than put this one in this location. So how to handle this one? Just consider, for example, this one is a special property. You can find it here. For this one, the corner is in the corner. That means this one touch the left at the left edge, the left hand side of this box. Touch another box. It's cut the left hand. Touch another box. So for this one we can just set a special value called clear. For example, we want to clear the left hand. That means that this one does not touch any box in the left. So that means this one cannot be put here. We'll put to here. Cut. Cannot put any other elements. Must be any other containing elements. Okay, any elements in the containing box, not can touch the border of the containing box element, but cannot touch any element in the containing element means the whole, okay, the whole body. So in this whole body, so this one cannot touch any box, so cannot touch here, so it must be moved to here. So this is the idea. So how to do that? You can find overall this is similar, okay, like the previous same. So we define a class attribute for the fourth paragraph only, and for that attribute, for that paragraph called clear paragraph. And then for the clear paragraph we define a clear property. property tag, and then we said no tag property, so it's a value be left. Okay, it's value be left. That means for this clear paragraph, it will not touch any other element in the containing any other box in the containing element. So that means it must go back to the new line to show the box. So that will be here. Highlight this one, and then this one will shift to here. Okay. Let's see the demo. So for here, we already know cut. So we define the fourth paragraph, 1, 2, 3, 4, because the fourth paragraph has issue. Cut the fourth 1, 2, 3, 4. Other three we don't want to change. Okay, we don't want to do, for example, for any one of this one, they cannot touch the other box. For this one, you can touch. This one can touch. This one also can touch. Okay? But for the fourth one, we don't want to do that. So that means we only do special handling for the fourth, and then we design a class. We define a class attribute for this paragraph, and then domain class attribute. This one will be clear. So clear in the left. Okay. So that's the idea. So you can find here. Now it will show like this way. So there's no contents after we finish the third paragraph. Okay, for example, if we don't do special handling for this first paragraph, we only do this one here for every paragraph. We want to set like this way. So see what happened. So this one you still keep, that's no problem. See what happened. Yes, that will be like this way. You don't want to have this one, cut, because if like this one, you just use normal, so no need to do this such things, cut to the float and so on. So just one by one show it in vertical way. The reason that you don't allow any element on the left, any box, cut any box containing the box of contained elements. Okay, so that means within this containing box, it will not touch any other elements in the left. So for each of this one, they will shift to the next available line after you show the previous result. Okay, this is not what we want to have. This is the reason. Okay, this to show you how to do the clear. Okay, just show this one. Beside left, you can also set a right and both. So you want to have both on both sides. Okay, if both sides, you can see what happened. So that means this one cannot be on the right. Okay, so we show this one is separately here. Show these two next. Then we'll be looking. Let's try on both the fourth clear. Not what we want to have. Clear. Neither the left nor right hand will be seen. Touch. Okay, seems something wrong. So some student asking me, for example, if there's something wrong, you can see the debugging message here. Okay, this one finished in this second 0.2 seconds means it compiled without any error. If you have any error, it will show. Okay, so this one seems weird. Okay, let's try. It's the same as this one. It will be the clear on both sides, cannot touch. I think I need to confirm. Maybe this is not supported in the latest HTML or in this browser. Okay, we can try. So, for example, we change it to a new browser. We try Firefox. So I have configured here. So you can just looking at the previous instruction how to add a new browser to the building system in the Sublime. Okay, it will very simple. You just open like this way. You open this one and then providing the exe according and save into another one. Cut save into another file name. For example, Firefox. Save into Firefox. Adding the Firefox exe. So on and so forth. Okay, let's continue for this clear HTML. And then we want to write in a new browser to see any difference. It's still the same. So let's look at for here for the clear CSS value. See properties. Both, it will allow both values. No floating elements allowed on either the left or the right hand side. No floating elements. So it's weird. I don't know what happened. Okay. You can study by yourself to see why this happened. Okay, we have some other value that were inherit initial, and we mentioned the line left, right. This is mainly based on the book. Okay, for here you can just do some study by yourself, and then we'll continue with the rest. Okay. So here we deal with a problem when we only use floated elements to show the contents in a body, okay, in a HTML body. For example, we want to add a borderline in each direction for the body. So we use this one. Set the body, so the border 1 pixels, and then solid the border color is this one. But just because inside of this in this division, all of them are float elements. So in fact, the problem is that if all of them are floated elements, some browsers will treat each of them just has a zero height. Okay, zero height, 0 pixels tall means zero height. So just because of this one is zero height, so if you add a border, seems is not necessary, cut. So it will not show the border. So it didn't find a border in each direction, cut, each side. So to handle this one, we can have different ways. In the previous, traditionally people will just insert another element and then use some CSS rule, and then we'll show that border. But in fact, we don't want to add a new element. We can do in a different way. We use this one. So just in fact, this is mainly just knowledge based. So we add these two more properties, two more rules. The overflow for this division we use auto. So auto is similar like the scroll. For example, we have a box. If the contents is more than the space, we can scroll, correct? So you add a scroll bar. But auto is that if necessary, we add a scroll bar. So that's the difference. Just similar like a scroll, but we have added a scroll bar if necessary. And then we also set the width to be 100%. Okay, just occupy the whole. So this seems like okay. We set like this division is not a zero height. Okay, and then it will show the result. Okay, we show like this one. Okay, that's it. That's the main idea for this one. So the code is also very simple. You can try by yourself. Okay, this is a relatively simple example. We don't show the code now to save our time. So we talk about create multi-column layouts with float. So since we have mentioned about float, we can put multiple boxes together in a window, in a box. So similarly, we can also create multi-column layout. You just do it in this way. This one is one column, two column, correct? Or you can put it. You have 3 columns or more. Okay. So it seems very straightforward, correct? Just like extend that one. You just keep doing. Okay, for this one, keep doing for this one. But you only have 2 boxes, or you have 3 boxes. So this is the basic idea. So let's look at this example. So in fact, we define 2 paragraphs. Okay, 2 paragraphs. Each paragraph will assign a class attribute. The first one we call column 1 of 2, and the second one we call the column 2 of 2. So that means 2 boxes. And then for this one, the basic idea is that how can we do that? We use division. Okay, we mentioned it before. With division, use this tag. We just organize, we group the elements together, and then for this division, we can design its layout separately. We can set this division attribute, give a new tag to it based on this one, and give this one a new tag, column 2 of 2, and then that means we can style each one separately. So this one is one box, this one is another box. Then we know how to arrange 2 boxes, correct? So this one float to left, this one also float to left. How big you want to show, the width, the height, and so on, correct? The margin. Okay, so that's the idea. Okay, float with the left, width with 620 pixels. So this one is relatively wider. Margin, that means in between, we allow 10 pixels in each side. And the column 2 is also float to left. If you have space, we can put this one. And then width must be 300. If we can fit the 300, we put here. Otherwise, we'll put the next. Okay? So you need to design accordingly, allow enough space to hold 2 columns. Okay, so width is 300, and the margin is 10 pixel. So you can also find, okay, for this one you added the margin, so in total it's 320. In total for this one is 640 in width. Okay, because you added 10 pixel in the margin. Okay, see the result. Float to left. So we first define divisions, and then we use this CSS to set the layout for each division. Each one use the float attribute, okay, to the left, and then we can decide its size, so properties. So basically we use a float with width and the margin. Okay, with width and the margin. So usually we use these 3 should be like float, width, and the margin. Okay, so next one, So that means separate from each other. Width, how big you want to show, and how much space you want to save in between boxes to the left and right. So this is the result. You can find here we have one box show here, and then there's another box show in the other side. Okay, so I think we use this one. This is the box, the first box. This is the second box. Okay, and then for example, if we want to have 3 columns, similarly, correct? We define like this way: 3 paragraphs, and each paragraph the width is same, flow to left, margin. This is the result. Okay, so let's see the code. So this is also the last example, or last knowledge, last piece of knowledge in this first topic. That means layout design, how to arrange the location of an element. Okay, so now you can see with some time we have error message here. Too late to send and receive message be lost. Okay, let's look at this example. This one is the column 2. Okay, let's look at column 2. Column 2, and then the contents. So column 1 of 2, many paragraphs inside. So we use division to hold both the heading 3, heading level 3, and 1, 2, another heading 3, 4 paragraphs, and 2 heading 3, 2 heading level 3 headings in one division. And then we said this is the column 1 of 2, the first paragraph, the first column, and then second column is this one. So we have another division. So it's column 2 of 2. So this is just show the history, basic timeline, heading, and then we have an ordered list item, and then arrange according to the chronic way. So different type of features we have. Okay, and then the CSS code we show like this way. In default, we set the width, font color, foreground color, column 1, column 2. We have this one we mentioned. Floating, use float elements. Okay, float to left because we want column by column, correct? Not row by row. And then width. These are different. So for the history, short narrow. For the description, so we detail the contents, we use wider column. Margin separate. So this is show 2 columns, make the 2 columns clear, correct? Clear. Okay, run the result. So this is the running result. Okay, I think this is still the, let's look at it, still the Firefox. Okay, this is Firefox content. So this is the Firefox result. That's here, right? You can find it here. So this is the first, this is second. Okay, so you can scroll left, right, and see. So basically you can find that the width, total width is already fixed. The body is 960. So later we talk about this is very common template, 960 pixels. Okay, we fixed, and then we allow, you can find allow 610, 620, and then 300. So let's look at how much we have. So this 620, and then margin each side 10. So you have 640, and then plus 300, you have 940, and then 2 margins on both sides, so you add 20. So 940 plus 20, you have 960. So you occupy the whole, okay? The whole 960 pixels. Okay, this is also just like a template, okay? You can, if you design in this way, you can reuse this template. That's also the third topic we will mention. Just use some grid, some pre-designed CSS template, layout template. Okay, this is this one for 3 columns. Let's look at. If for 3 columns, we have column 3. Okay. So basically, the contents similar. Okay, this is but we arrange the paragraph in 3 divisions. Heading 1, so that's the highest level, and the next one we show column by column. Column 1 of 3, heading and 2 paragraph. Column 2 of 3, heading and another 2 paragraph. And headings and the column 3 of 3 is the history. Okay. And then for each one we can define separately, but here for simplicity we assign the same width for each. Okay, and then margin for 10, you must use 10 because in total you only have that much. 300 plus 2 margins on left and right, so you have 320, and then you have 3 columns. 320 multiplied by 3, you get 960. Okay, that's the reason. See the result here. Okay, show the result like this way. So we starting from here to the 3 columns. Okay? So this is heading 1. Okay, heading 1, and then heading 2 paragraph, heading 2 paragraph, and then heading order the list. Okay. Okay, this is another application. Just use the float to design multi-column layout. Okay, and also till now we also finished the first topic of the chapter. That means for layout design for the elements. So next one we'll talk about how to design according to different screen size. Okay.